Welcome to the Website Success Show, the podcast dedicated to helping women in business get more traffic and sales through their website with less reliance on social media and paid ads. I'm Jules White, the founder of the Website Success Hub, and I love helping local and online businesses make more money through their existing website. If you have a business you love but you don't like the way your website performs, then this is the show for you. Hi, welcome back to the Website Success Show. It's Jules here, and I want to talk today about something I started kind of talking about last week. Ended up down a slightly different tangent, a little bit of a rabbit hole, but it's a conversation that keeps coming up. So I think it's important to talk about it and to revisit it. I literally had this conversation again yesterday about how AI search is a completely different animal to SEO, and that we have to approach them differently, and that, you know, the things that they are totally separate basically. And I firmly believe still that that's just not true, and that a lot of the work that you do to show up on searches on AI or to get recommended by AI are the fundamentals of SEO, and that without those things in place, you are going to struggle to be the business that's recommended in the AI searches, whether that is AI overviews or being recommended in a chat with ChatGPT or Perplexity or whichever AI tool people are using. And I think there is a bit of a panic out there right now, and there's certainly a lot of people who are selling AI search services that are almost encouraging this fear out there that business owners have to be thinking about this completely different to what they've ever thought about with SEO. And fundamentally, what I would say is that most business owners I speak to, they're kind of trying to now think about how can I get AI recommending my business? And the foundations aren't in place. So that's what I want to dive into today. And I really don't want to be just adding to the noise. I am hoping this episode will just give you a bit of reassurance that the work you've already done, even if it is just getting clear on your messaging, even if you feel like you are just getting started with SEO and with organic search and with actually just trying to get some more free traffic to your website, the right people finding you at the right time, I just want to reassure you that you're on the right path, and that the work that you do to set up your business and to set up your website for searchability will still be relevant and still will help you to show up in those AI searches. So there are a few things that have genuinely changed this year, but the main thing is in how search results are actually delivered to the end user. So Google's AI mode has now become default. People are now getting the AI mode as standard. It is a bit different with local businesses, and I think this is where there's still a real opportunity for location-based businesses to really clean up and to really get some results from the AI recommendations, but also still from Google as well. So things have been changing and evolving ever since Google first came out. So when Google was first launched and it was very, very rudimental, and the search engines were pretty bad actually. And over the years, every single update to Google's algorithm has helped people to get a better search result. So it's helped Google to understand more and more about what people are actually searching for and what they're actually hoping to get from this kind of search. And we've just been working more and more towards this over the years anyway. So whereas we used to get a page full of links and people would then click on those links and look for the thing that they're trying to find, we're much more likely now to see a summary at the top of the results. So a full conversational answer will just replace the list, and it will literally be one result. And if we can be a business that gets cited in these results, we can actually get a link to our business there. depending on the type of search that it is, and this is very much one of the big changes, is a lot of the informational searches that would have maybe been answered by blog posts and things over the years, those answers are now just being generated with AI. And this, for us as business owners, this means that we need to be a bit more strategic about when we're creating content for our websites. It means that we can't get away with just creating generic content that any old AI could have written and that anyone could have written using AI. And we've been talking about this a lot since AI came out. We've been talking about the fact that what's really important, if we want to be cited as the expert in what we do and as the business that people should trust if they're looking to buy something that we sell, is how we can show our human lived experience in that. So if we can be that business that gets shown in those searches, people are already so much further along the buyer's journey. So for a lot of websites, this means that they're getting fewer clicks coming through to their actual website, so less visitors to their website for those informational queries in particular. But for the businesses that are getting those commercial intent searches, they're showing up there for people who are actually looking to buy something or to find a local business or to solve a problem that they have. If you are the business that then shows up and gets cited in that overview, people coming through to your website are much, much more likely then to take action and to actually become customers. So it does mean that, yes, traffic has dropped off for a lot of businesses, but for those that are still getting the clicks coming through, it's okay. And if you can show your business as the one that solves that specific problem and answers that specific query, and is to be trusted in that as well, then this can be really powerful for your business. So some things have moved on, some things have changed. The way that results are given have changed, but people will always be out there searching, and it's just the way that people search that has changed really. So don't panic about things if you have seen a big drop off in traffic to your website. A lot of websites are actually finding that their traffic has literally dropped off a cliff. I've had a few power hours from this with people where they've come through and they just want to understand what's actually happening, what's actually made their traffic drop off a cliff. And for some businesses, it is that a lot of their traffic was coming from those informational queries. For other businesses, there can be fundamental things that are now causing their business not to show up in search. You know, there are fundamental problems there that can be fixed, basically. So I talked about this back in episode 135 of what Google actually says about AI search and what we can stop worrying about, where I looked at a document that Google has released about what we need to do differently and what the fundamentals Google are still saying are there. And I've seen a lot over the last few weeks in particular. I've seen a lot of people really focused on, if you're not showing up in ChatGPT, if you're not showing up in Perplexity, then you are missing out on all of the customers that are out there. And it is quite a lot of sensationalist marketing around this as well, and the fear-based marketing around AI visibility and around all of the changes in the world right now. I think there is a lot of fear out there. But fundamentally, what Google says was that we need to still be creating useful content, pages that can be easily read and indexed by Google and by the AI bots, accurate business details so that the bots understand what you do, what services you offer, where you're located, how people can find you, what's different in the way that you do it, structured data on the back end of your website, and avoiding doing things that are spammy shortcuts, basically. And that's what a lot of this fear-based marketing is actually promising, that you can have quick fixes that can kind of almost game the system, which has always been there for as long as SEO has been there. There's always been people trying to game the system and just trying to look for hacks that might work on the short term, but over the long term, the bots catch up and you get penalised for that. One of the things that we're seeing right now, I think, with this is the AI generated content, where businesses were just churning out loads and loads of content on their website about a topic that makes them appear as an expert, but Google has had a massive clear up of that kind of content out there. So the fundamentals are that we need to be creating good content that's helpful for our users, really. So if you think about a page on your website, if you wouldn't share that page with a customer or a potential customer, regardless of whether Google existed, regardless of whether this page was going to bring you traffic into your website, if there's nothing on that page that you would share with one of your existing or potential customers, then that page should go or should be edited to actually be something that you would be proud to share with somebody and would be helpful to share with somebody, really. So what this document said from Google is that most of the stuff hasn't changed. And this is where that whole thing of AI search being a completely different animal just isn't true. The things that still matter are, as I say, that we have useful content, that our pages are set up in a hierarchical way that are easy for the bots to understand. If you've listened to any episodes, you would have heard me talk about page hierarchy and thinking about our individual web pages like an English essay. So we have one heading at the top, H1 heading, which is about the topic of that page, and it sends really strong signals to the bots on what this page is about, and also to the humans coming and reading that heading on the page. Coming down, then we have H2 headings, which breaks that down further. So they're the subtopics of the page, the related ideas, those kind of things. And then within that, maybe you would have, if you break it down further, you would have H3 headings, which are the subtopics or the categories within those H2 headings. So that's still really important. Google and AI bots can then understand these are the most important parts of this page. And the big thing with AI is that it can then pull out those subheadings on that page. It can pull that out as a unique piece of content. And it still makes sense without the whole context of that whole page. And that's one of the things that can help you if you do want to get mentioned in AI overviews, is actually having those sections on your page that would make sense even if you didn't have the whole of the rest of the page to read about, really. So there's a lot of talk about keywords being dead. I talked about this a little bit last week. I think keywords have always been something that feel confusing. When I talk to clients and potential clients, people always feel a bit confused on keywords. It's one of the questions that comes up a lot if I'm delivering training for a group or those kind of things. Keywords seem to be a bit of a mental stumbling block for people. And this has changed a little bit. When you hear people talking about AI, we're talking about topic clusters, about becoming an authority in what you do. But fundamentally, underneath it all, we're still talking about the words that you use on the pages of your website that help Google and AI bots to understand what you do. And humans as well, ultimately. This is all about humans understanding us and buying from us. So keywords became topic clusters, which has kind of always been the way anyway. And maybe it's because I've only come into SEO in the last sort of 5 years or so. And maybe I've been lucky that I've learned SEO from people who have been teaching it well. But this is something that I've been taught anyway, that as much as we might have a focus keyword for each page of our website, I am thinking about how all of the different pages on your website have a specific job to do. They all link together and they all help to reinforce the idea that you know what you're doing, that you are an expert in this. And the keywords, the words that you mention, and not just on your website, also on your Google business profile as well, if you're a local business, if you're using social media, the words that you're mentioning there, the words that other people are mentioning about your business across the internet as well. Those are still the things that help the bots understand what you do. So regardless of whether you call them words or you call them topics or you call them sentences or key phrases or copy, whatever you do, whatever you call it, it still is fundamentally that same thing of the words that are out there on the internet about what you do are helping the bots and the humans to understand more about what you do. That feels like a real ramble there about that. But it's one of the things that I hear and I see all the time. I see it in my inbox. I see it like on webinars and things that I watch where people are talking about keywords and keywords being dead. I don't feel like it has fundamentally changed. I don't feel like I have changed what I'm teaching, because I was always about creating content with intention rather than just churning out content for the sake of it. I've always been about creating and focusing on your core pages of your website first. So making sure the pages that are closest to the sale, the ones that are specific to what you sell, and first and foremost, your most profitable product or service, start there, and your homepage, which sends big signals about your business as a whole, your about page as well. Make sure they are set up to actually show up for what you do. That's really important. And then we can start thinking about creating additional content if we need to. Another thing that hasn't really changed is that trust signals are really important. And this is something that, again, is very much set up as this is a big change in AI search, that we need to have a positive brand sentiment throughout the internet. And that is definitely true for AI search. It kind of has always been there in one way or another. Before, it was building backlinks coming into our website. And fundamentally, this is still the same thing. It's still building that positive sentiment about your business and those links to your business. I think if you have your website as the hub of your business, and that's where everything comes back to, then that is a place where you have control of that. You own your website. And if you can have that thought in mind of everything you do comes back to your website as the hub of your business online, then that's the most important thing. And all of those trust signals that you try and build have always been there. I was always taught that it's not about the volume of links that you've got coming into your business. It's about the authority of those links. And certainly years ago, before I was into SEO, it was about the volume of links. So you could just go out and buy a load of spammy backlinks, and that would help you to rank on Google. Whereas now that's not the case, and certainly with AI, it's not the case. AI is looking for trust signals out there across the internet. So that can be reviews on your Google business profile. It can be mentions on forums. That can be really, really helpful. A positive brand sentiment. It can be PR. Digital PR has become more important than ever. But that's not to say this wasn't fundamentally a part of good SEO anyway. But again, coming back to the keywords, what people are saying in your reviews can now be read by the AI bots. So an example is a cafe that says it's dog friendly, but it doesn't have any reviews or photos showing that there are dogs there, people visiting with the dogs, or that they do anything around it being dog friendly. If they have that on their website and they say that that's what they do, but there's nothing out there that's actually reinforcing that fact, then the AI is unlikely then to deliver that for people who are looking for a local dog-friendly cafe. One of the things you can do is using things like case studies as well. It's another way you can then build your authority and the trust signals on your website. So if you've got case studies where you back it up by facts, if you've done any actual studies, any white papers, or if you've even done polls with your clients and you deliver the results of those on your website with the real facts about, we talked to this number of people and these were the results that came up, that can be a really great way to build authority. And then you can find that other people might link to that and actually cite that research that you've done yourself. So underneath all of this, the words that you're using across those pages, the words that are being used throughout the internet by you and by your customers and by other authoritative people, are what tell Google and AI what you do. And most businesses aren't clear enough on the foundations. That's the thing I think I would say, is that I see lots of people teaching about very in-depth AI strategies. And what I see more often than not when somebody comes to me is that the foundations aren't there, because they've just never taken the time to think about their website and their online visibility and the words that they have actually used and what they want to show up for, really. They often haven't mentioned the things that they need to. And I've used this example a few times on the podcast of the therapist who was a PTSD trauma-informed therapist. That was the biggest thing that she used to do, the biggest way she used to help people. But because somebody had said that was much too competitive for her to rank for, then she hadn't mentioned it anywhere on her website. Thinking about this now with the AI angle, she would be wanting to make sure, obviously, that she is talking about PTSD and the specific way that she helps her clients with that. So PTSD, yes, is going to be very broad, but what could help her then to show up for that in her local area is making sure that she's mentioning her local area as well. So definitely mentioning the location that she works with clients. The case studies of people who she's actually helped with PTSD, and a little bit more about maybe the specific types of people she works with, or if there are particular types of PTSD, so chronic PTSD or PTSD for childhood traumas, or there's so many different angles that you could actually do this to make sure that once she's got those core pages in place, so she's got her services pages for PTSD and trauma therapy and those specific things that she needs to mention to make sure that Google understands and the AI bots understand what she does. Making sure her Google business profile also mentions that as well. So she's showing PTSD therapy as a service. She can dive into Google business profile and see what Google understands as services that are related to PTSD. And then once she's done that, then starting to think about, okay, what else does she need to do to strengthen that message that she knows what she's doing around PTSD? So definitely getting reviews are a little bit harder for therapists. I know that's one of the things that is a bit of a struggle for therapy clients of mine. But even things like getting mentioned on industry magazines or getting mentioned in any authoritative places. So for that particular client, it could even be being mentioned in her local chamber if they do an online magazine, or if it was somebody who worked with children, then getting mentioned in local publications related to that, or local mental health publications, or local women's organisations. Those kind of things where if you can get your name out there as the expert in what you do and mentioning those words around what you do, that can be massively helpful in terms of building that trust, building that authority, building those foundations that give that clear message throughout the internet of what you do. And this is often something that comes up when I do power hours with people, where we dive into their Google Search Console or their Google Analytics, or we just have a little look at how their business is performing in search and what's actually being associated with their business. And quite often, just that realization of what they're not showing up for and just seeing it there on the screen in black and white, that in itself can be that light bulb moment. And it can help them then to think about, okay, if I want to show up for a particular search term, then which page of my website is the most relevant to show up for that? What do I need to do to add those words throughout that page? Where else can I get other people mentioning me in relation to those words? How can I cover this topic really well? And that doesn't mean creating loads and loads of content. It means being really thoughtful and strategic about the content we do create, so that we are actually creating that with a plan in mind and with intentionality, rather than just churning out content for the sake of it. So this is that big thing that I see so many people talking about AI search, and you've got to do this to show up in AI search, you've got to do that, and you've got to do the other thing. And fundamentally, if we can get those foundations in place, get that core in place, helps to start sending the right signals out there, then we can get rid of all of the other noise. We can stop with the social media posting all the time. I still talk to so many people, literally conversations practically every day. Whenever I do networking, I talk to so many people who are posting and posting and posting and hoping, and just have no results from that. Just a quick break here. If you're ready to get more from your website without feeling overwhelmed, come and join us in the Website Growth Club. It's my monthly membership where we focus on one simple, actionable SEO or website strategy each month, with step-by-step lessons, live Q&As, and real support to keep you moving forward. You don't need to do it alone, and you can find out more and join us at thewebsitesuccesshub.com/grow. I feel like they are just shouting into the void. I was talking to somebody yesterday on a networking call, and she said that she'd posted a picture of a blank wall because she was having some issues with a decorator, and it had blown up. This post had blown up, and yet she posts about what she does, and it's crickets. And that seems to be the thing that's happening time and time again to people. And yet we still ignore this thing that we own. We still ignore our website. We still ignore the thing that needs to send those fundamental messages out there into the world about what we do, so that we can show up in AI search, so that we can show up on Google searches, so that we can connect with people when they're out there searching for what we do. And if you are something like a local service-based business, so physios, clinics, mental health practitioners, salons, boutique and speciality local shops, any location-based business, a lot of this ties in with your Google business profile as well. Making sure that your Google business profile is set up properly, so you've got the right categories, you've got the right services that you're mentioning on your profile in relation to the things that Google actually understands about what you do. I had this with a client who offered a specific type of hypnotherapy, and they hadn't really mentioned that on their Google business profile because they didn't call it hypnotherapy themselves. But it was still underneath it all, it was still a type of hypnotherapy, a very specialized type of hypnotherapy. But if we don't tell Google that you offer hypnotherapy, then it can't offer you up as a solution. It doesn't know to put you in the arena against all of the other people who are offering hypnotherapy, against all of your local competitors. And yet these therapy sessions could be massively helpful for clients and for the people that need that help. So actually, sometimes it's a case of swallowing the what we want to be known for and connecting with what Google understands. And the reason Google understands this is because this is what years and years of people searching for those kind of solutions, this is what they are searching for. This is what people are actually out there searching for in relation to what you do and in relation to the services that you offer. So unfortunately, sometimes we have to kind of suck it up a little bit and use those words on our website to help us to show up for what we do, really. We want Google to understand the location that we're in as well. So that's where Google profiles can massively help, making sure that our website is also tied into that as well. And that's really important for AI search. So making sure that we have really clear name, address and phone number that ties in with both our website and our Google business profile and any local directories as well. That can be really helpful. And sometimes you can find the directory listings actually show up on Google or get mentioned in AI search. And that's fine. As long as there's a link to your website or your booking link in there and people can actually buy through that, then that's great. You know, that's not a problem at all if people find us through a directory listing or something. What that all does is by making sure that those words are right on your Google profile and tie in with your website and everywhere that you're online, it puts you in the arena. So it helps you to be in the running to even show up for these things. And then your unique take on things, your unique strategies, your unique philosophies, your unique lived experience with clients over the years, your unique niche if you have one, or there needs to be then something that helps you not just be in the arena, but actually be the business that the bots decide are the ones to show up. The trusted businesses that are so specific to that person doing that search that there's no other choice but to show your brand, and your brand will be the trusted choice for those AI bots and for Google. There are lots of wild stats out there right now, massive panic, lots of focusing on tactics that work for bigger brands and just aren't needed for those smaller local businesses. As I say, so many businesses, the foundations aren't there in place. Local businesses are spending hours and hours on social media, and their Google business profile isn't even set up with those basics of the categories and the services that they offer, and that doesn't tie in with their websites. If you would like some help with this, if you would like my eyes on your website, I've just launched my search gap check, which is a free video you can get. You can go to my website, look for the freebies. I'll put the link in the show notes as well. And I'll have a little look at your site, your Google business profile, and see what the most important things are for you to focus on. I'll send you a little short video, less than 5 minutes usually, and immediate recommendations for your unique business. So if you'd like one of those, then go and grab the link in the show notes and you can request one. One of the things that I'm seeing a lot recommended is using AI for strategy, and I would be really cautious about this. I've had a couple of clients this year who have used a lot of AI for strategy, and I've realised that that doesn't work particularly well. And I think if somebody came to me and said that they were working with 10 different SEO agencies and then they wanted my input into it as well, there is no way that I would take that person on as a client. But when you're using AI for strategy and to help you come up with an SEO plan, and there's certainly parts of it that can be helpful with AI, things like generating page titles and descriptions that you can then tweak and give your human take on that, that can be helpful. Things like generating ideas for posts and generating ideas for blog outlines that you can then humanize and add your own content to. That's one thing you can use AI for. But using it to generate a complete strategy for your business, I think is a little bit dangerous to do. I've definitely played around with this. I've tried different tools, and what I'm honestly finding is a lot of the results are just full of noise, and they like you do with a lot of AI stuff, you end up with 1,000,001 ideas that aren't necessarily the right ideas for your business, aren't necessarily taking into account everything that you need to before you start creating that strategy, and can just lead to either more overwhelm or just lead to creating content that still doesn't do the job that it needs to. I talked about this back in episode 128, is ChatGPT making you doubt yourself, and why I switched to Claude. I talked in that episode about some of the feelings that I was getting from using AI too much for the thought process. And since I broke up with social media at the end of January, I found that I did have a lot more mental clarity. I had a lot less noise in my brain, but I definitely need those days without my phone, days without using AI too much, to just help me not doubt myself, I think, really. And all that to say, I was talking about AI strategy. I would just be cautious about AI generated SEO strategy, because there's so much nuance out there, and a lot of it is trained on the internet, and a lot of the information on the internet is outdated SEO strategies that aren't necessarily going to work right now, or the sensational AI search strategies that have been released more recently that haven't been proven and haven't stood the test of time, I think, really. Now, I was thinking about what's one thing I want you to do this week. What's one thing that can help you to understand how your brand is doing in AI search? And I listened to Exposure Ninja. They're one of the people that I do trust around SEO strategy. They do lots of work with bigger businesses, so you do have to think about some of it with a pinch of salt in terms of smaller local businesses. But they've created a great tool, which I only found it yesterday, actually, but I thought I would share this with you. It's called minemybrand.com, M-I-N-E, mybrand.com. And it does a brand analysis of your business from multiple AI models. So it does it on ChatGPT, Perplexity, Grok, and Gemini. It doesn't have Claude in there right now, but it gives you a general sentiment of your brand. It tells you things like the tone of your business, the price point. Celebrity match is one of the fun things they've got in there. So according to ChatGPT, my celebrity match for my business is Davina McCall. So it says this analogy reflects the personality traits the model associates with your brand. I don't mind that. I love Davina, so I think that's quite cool. But it also gives some helpful advice as well, or some helpful things of areas that you could focus on. What AI is actually understanding about your business. I think the mission and values, those kind of things, like I saw in my brand mission and values, what AI see, helping business owners turn their websites into a reliable source of visibility, inquiries and sales through practical SEO, website clarity and sustainable marketing that reduces dependence on social media and paid ads. Now, I love that. I love that the AI is actually understanding that about my brand. But it also gave me a few things that I need to work on. A couple of them were saying that I've got too many offers, which I kind of feel a bit like that myself as well. It's one of the things I've been working on this year. But also that there's not, for me, and I know this is a problem for me as well, I need to do more digital PR for my business. I need more of those other people on the internet talking about me and what I do. And I've known that for a while. It's definitely something that is on my agenda and my radar, of things like getting on more podcasts and getting more authority content out there about my business. So go in and have a look at that. As I say, I'll link to that in the show notes. You can get 2 free checks for free, and then you can just pay as you go. So you can get £10.99. You can get 20 reports for that. But yeah, it was quite good. I ran it for a couple of client sites as well. And they were, I think if you're seeing that things like a positive brand sentiment and that it's fundamentally understanding some of the things that you're doing in your business, then that's great. It doesn't necessarily mean that AI is mentioning you, because you might be competing against a lot of other people out there. For location-based businesses, if it's not mentioning the area that you're in, then that's could be something to explore a bit further. And if you want some help exploring this, so if you get an analysis and you're not quite sure what to do with that information, then send me a message or book a power hour and we can actually have a chat about how you can do something practical with this. This is also something you can do manually, so you can go into AI tools and ask questions about your brand, ask questions about your unique positioning, about your philosophy, about gaps in what you do as well. That's one way to see how AI is actually seeing and viewing your brand. But with all of this, the way that we fix this is by making sure that, as I've talked about, those foundations are there on your business, on your Google business profile, and out there throughout the whole of the internet as well. So throughout the wider web on different sites as well. So if you're a location-based business, if you've got a Google business profile and you would like more local customers, but you just need some help with actually getting this sorted, you can book one of my local SEO sessions. It's where we spend some time together on Zoom, working through your profile and actually making the changes there and then. So you not only get a stronger profile, but also you understand what to do moving forward to keep your profile strong and to really make sure that you are showing up for what you do in your local area. So I'll link to that in the show notes as well. You can come and book a session if you'd like to, and we can get your profile sorted together. So a final thought is that people are out there searching, and if you want to show up for what you do, you can. You just need to take some action. So until next time, just take a deep breath, trust your website as a way to bring you clients, and remember, social media is optional. If you'd like to attract more local clients, grab my free local visibility checklist. It'll show you the simple steps you can take to show up in your area for what you do. You can download it at thewebsitesuccesshub.com/local. And thanks for tuning in to the Website Success Show.